Time flies when you're having fun. We are over a year removed. A year and a month? 13 months removed of all of the insanity that was the Bud Light boycott. Boy, that sure was fun, man. Now we'll take a look at what's happening with Bud Light, but what has Dylan Mulvaney been up to recently? Well, not selling out any speaking engagements, not getting any other endorsement deals, but instead trying to elicit work by saying that want to star in a trans remake of Legally Blonde. Okay, cool. I mean, if you think you're qualified to star in a film that requires you to be a natural blonde, I think it would be fair enough to assume that you'd also try to convince and coerce other people to adhere to other delusions. But let's take a look at what's going on over in the Anheuser Busch camp. But Bud Light boycott drags down beer makers' U.S. revenue. And yeah, right at the beginning of May, okay, now that we're starting to finally get the year-on-year numbers, because now that we officially have both April 2023, the first month after the release of Dylan Mulvaney's promotional videos, compared to April 2024, a full calendar year removed. What are things looking like? Your giant Anheuser Busch, InBev, saw its U.S. revenue decline by 9.1% in the first quarter of 2024. Oh, so, okay, cool. So they're still facing backlash, huh? And the boycott of Bud Light continues to hit sales. The world's largest brewery, which also makes brands like Corona and Stella Artois, reported that sales to retailers had fallen nearly 14%, primarily due to the volume decline in Bud Light. Well, this really sounds like things we were talking about a year ago, but Nope. This is 2024. Okay. Last year, the company faced a backlash to the Bud Light promotional campaign that included a partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. That is Ed Wood's campaign, which aimed to celebrate diversity and inclusion. No, it was made as a promotion for the March Madness campaign, or for whatever types of bubbles Dylan uses in the bath. I'm not entirely sure what they were really aiming for, but I know what the ultimate conclusion of that campaign was. Unexpectedly sparked controversy. Was it unexpected? I mean, come on, they were trying to stir the pot. They just didn't realize that conservatives would actually muster a force that would lead to the biggest boycott of our lifetime. So far. Among some of Bud Light's customers. And this resulted in decreased sales as consumers opted to switch to other brands as a form of protest. Bud Light eventually lost its spot as best-selling beer in the United States, dropping to second place behind Modelo. Beers made by Mexican brewer Grupo Modelo, which is owned by AB InBev. Yeah, the domestic distribution rights are not owned by AB InBev, but the international ones are, so really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Despite the turmoil in the United States, the Belgium-based brewer global performance remains strong. Oh, interesting. AB InBev reported an overall revenue increase of 2.6%. Oh, great. That'll almost make up for the, 9.1% decrease, huh? Interesting. Largely attributed to the jump in sales of Corona, which grew by 15.5% outside of its home market of Mexico. Sales volume increased in Europe and Mexico, in part thanks to the earlier Easter. Oh, right, yeah. Because, that big drinking holiday of Easter. Interesting. I'll be interested, right? As we're now heading into the summer, the official kickoff of summer. Canada's May long weekend is in fact this weekend. And then Memorial Day proper for Americans is next week. So it's going to be interesting to see, now that we're going to have the warmer weather, now that we're going to have the beach going concert season. Okay, it's going to be fun to see if that stigma has somehow disappeared. But let's continue a little bit. The beer maker also cited its diverse product portfolio of strength beyond its famous beer brands as a reason for revenue growth. The company reported an underlying profit for the quarter of 1.51 billion compared to the 1.31 billion in the same period last year. The strength of beer category, our diversified global footprint, and the continued momentum of our mega brands delivered another quarter of broad-based top and bottom line growth. Michael Duquer, CEO, said in a statement, "We are encouraged by the results to start the year and a consistent execution by our teams." Something else was executed last year, but whatever. And partners reinforces our confidence in delivering on our 2024 growth ambitions. Just not in America. Don't worry about that. Budweiser parent said that it expects 2024 earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization to grow between 4 and 8% in line with its medium-term outlook. And I'm sure we'll come back and take a look at that and realize that, yeah, they were probably being a bit too optimistic. But for the first time since everything really kicked off, we got somewhat of an apology, sort of, kind of, or at least a recognition that, yep, we really fumbled this bag, huh? Bud Light promises to stay in our lane after receiving backlash for stunt with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, they've kind of done that by just taking a more apolitical approach, which is exactly what they should have done, continued to do back last year. But no, man, they didn't. And yeah, it all started with Dylan Mulvaney and those two goofy videos, but then it was trotting out their different CEOs, okay, right? The previously mentioned Michael Dookaris saying that people are too stupid and they ended up getting swallowed up in social media and misinformation. And then you had the former CEI, or the CIA guy, DEI, CEI, all that crap. Stooge, Brendan Whitworth, what is he, the American CEO for Anheuser Busch? Yeah, he was making the rounds, also not apologizing, just instead going, we're an American-based company, and then also cutting big checks to the NFL, MLB, the UFC, trying to get everybody to promote their brand that is actually aligned with their consumer base, without having to admit fault, and instead just trying to pass the buck to, oh, it was a third-party marketing agency. It was just one ad. It was just one can. Why is everybody complaining about this stuff? Well, it's because you didn't take responsibility for your actions, and, well, it was just so fun to call Bud Light tranny fluid, if we're going to be completely honest. Bud Light says it has learnt to stay in our lane after receiving heavy backlash for working with a transgender influencer to market its beverage. Jason Warner, the president of the beer company for Northern Europe, said the company would keep contested political and societal issues separate from its marketing and beer products. There we go. That's really what we want, man. Like, whenever you're going out to the grocery store, you don't want to have to try to grab something off the shelf and wonder if they're supporting a political or an ideology that is completely and totally against your principles. That's not something that people want to do. They just at most want to look at the ingredient list and wonder if anything's going to try to attempt to kill them, instead of supporting a company that is also supporting other causes that may in the long term try to kill them. They don't want to have to do all of that work. I don't want to have to do all that work. Sell your terrible beer, and I'm sure a bunch of people would just buy it, okay? Shut your mouth and pour, okay? Some, mainly in the United States, boycotted the brand for working with Dylan Mulvaney, a trans influencer. Yeah, we know. Mr. Warner said the major learning was, hey, I wanted to enjoy Bud Light when I'm not having to think about all of this, and I want to enjoy it with my friends. There you go. Simple as, right? I want sports, music, fun, friends. I want everyone to be happy together. Unfortunately, the output of that was the complete opposite, which is not what we're there to do. The president of AB InBev, the world's largest brewing company, said, reported by The Telegraph. That's interesting, man, that at least we're getting some high-ranking official saying, yeah, we screwed up. AB InNev, should that be Bev? Probably. Suffered a drag in sales of, of Bud Light following the advertising campaign last year, which involved Mulvaney receiving personalized cans of the low-alcohol, low-taste beer to mark her year anniversary of transitioning. Mr. Warner said the backlash of the campaign was a very difficult moment, adding that the company would now stay in our lane. Yeah, there are very few categories in the world where people care that much. I don't think people would look at mayonnaise that way or care that much about mayonnaise, but they care about their beer. Yeah, exactly. But if Hellman's came out tomorrow and said, bigots need not buy our product, our sandwiches only get spread on trans bread, they might have a problem. But you trying to get a sport, a very popular, a very prolific sporting event marketed by somebody as divisive as Dylan Mulvaney, yeah, that was a big misstep. It ended up costing you billions, and it looks like it's going to continue costing you billions in the long term. You could be optimistic about year-on-year growth, but here's the thing, man: the internet doesn't forget, and neither do beer drinkers. Well, unless of course you just get enough flowing at keggers this summer, but chances are there's not going to be kegs of Bud Light. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.